Dodging bullets. Hands up. I'm going to put 2 hands up because it was me for so many years of my life, about 20. Hands up if you feel like you've spent your whole life afraid, crippled by fear. Just put a hand up or put a yes. Now, by crippled by fear, I mean afraid of, and actually, I want to ask you guys what it is you're afraid of, okay? Because I think everything starts with fear, okay? Mine would have been fear of not being good enough, fear of upsetting people, fear of letting myself down, fear of failing, fear of people laughing at me, fear about what people think, fear of, I've been in relationships when I've just been afraid of losing someone, or something, afraid of losing a job, in a horrifically toxic job where I was just afraid of losing it every day. And the people who ran the company knew that and used it to their advantage. So yeah, a little bit of interaction here. If you feel like you've spent a lot of your life or a certain period of your life afraid of those things, I want you to give me a hands up. If, or a yes, or if it's none of those things, and this was the most amazing learning for me the other day. If it's none of those things, there might be something that I really need to know that you're afraid of that I haven't considered. Because the other day, when we did the same thing, and everyone was commenting about social media, and that wasn't the one thing that I thought was holding people back and that was triggering them. And it was. So it's really interesting for me to know. So, what are you afraid of? Or what have you been afraid of? That's what I want to know. Or if you don't want to come out and tell me that now, just put a hands up and put a yes. That yes, I've spent a high period. I would go as far as to say I've spent my whole life not doing things because I'm afraid, okay? Because that was definitely me, okay? Now, this brings us on to the next part of this morning's session, which is, what is it that you have as well I'm going to have to take my hoodie off. Continued to keep promising yourself. We all do this. Like I said, I stayed at a certain job 5 years longer than I should have done. 5 whole years. My life imprisoned, unhappy, okay? And I kept promising myself that one day I'm going to leave. Someday I'm going to do this. When I've got enough money, okay? When this happens, after this event, same as in a relationship, isn't it? You know, you could be really unhappy in a relationship and then you're in that kind of, you keep promising yourself that you are going to end it. But at the end of the day, most of us have human emotions and most of us are good people. Now there's hoodie fluff everywhere. You very often don't end a relationship because you're either afraid of being on your own or you don't want to hurt the other person. It's as simple as that. It's normally one of those two things. And I've been in both situations as well. And again, that is a form of fear that cripples us from doing the thing. I'm not really very happy, but it's better than being on my own kind of mentality. Or I'm really not happy, but I'm willing to continue suffering this unhappiness every day because I don't want to hurt the other person. Again, that could be the same in a career. You know, I've been with this boss for years. I don't want to let him down. Can't run the company without me. Oh, so what, you're going to cripple yourself to unhappiness for the rest of your life based on the fact that you don't want to hurt another person? That's a dark place, okay? So I'd be really interested as well for you guys to keep coming out. Come on, I'm turning up for free every morning to do this for you guys. I want some more interaction. So I want to know, what is it that you have been promising yourself? Obviously, if it's dumping your partner and you don't want them to know, I wouldn't recommend putting that on a live feed now. But it might be changing career. How perfect timing is that? Sarah Hardy comes on and she's late. We got Sarah to change her career this year after years of wanting to do it. And it's been life-changing. That happened through the mindset coaching. So I'm going to tell you a story, okay? And you guys will laugh about this. Just want to put this out there and be really honest, because it was something that I said I would never ever do. When I started personal training, I said I would never ever sleep with a client. And I haven't. Well, I have. I've slept with one. I'm now engaged to her, and she's the mother to my little boy. So I think it was kind of okay. But when Nat first came to me as a client, she was working at USC. Fairly good job. Been there a long time. Management position. And she hated it. And they treat her like SH1T. Trying not to swear, okay? And phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning to go in because an alarm was going off, not paid. 18, 19, 20-hour shifts at Christmas, not paid any extra money. Spoken to like SH1T by customers, staff, sub-management. Not all. You know, and generally not respected and unhappy in a career, exactly as I was in mine, okay? Now, what I want you guys to work out today is to figure out what the actual risks are of the thing that you're so afraid of, so holding you back. So I started training Nat as a client, and then she moved in after a few months, and she was really unhappy, and I could see she was really unhappy, okay? And I've never ever done anything like this at all, but I could see how unhappy she was. Personal training was starting to grow. I was a bit stressed out with work, and I randomly just said, quit, come and work for me. I'd started doing online coaching. I had no idea if I had enough money to pay her, but I had a credit card, so I knew I'd get through for 3 or 4 months. I had no idea what role she was actually going to do. Had no idea whether we would actually stay together. We'd only been together about 3 months. And when I said it, I think I was kind of playing Billy Big Balls and probably really hadn't thought it through, which is something that I do in life, but I would say it's also been why I've been able to do what I do, because I seem to have an inbuilt ability to do things without thinking about them. And I think you guys think about them too much, which is why you end up never doing them. Hand up if you think that's right. And she promptly came home, to my absolute shock and disbelief, 24 hours later, and went, I've handed my notice in. So I'm like, okay, act calm, breathe, super cool. It's all going to be good. It'll work out. And I can definitely pay her for about 3 months. Because I'd said that I'd match her wage. And it all worked out. And look at it now. She doesn't work there. She will earn way in excess of what her salary was in half a year. Freedom, impact, purpose, fulfillment, happiness, all the things that you've ever wanted were on the other side of that fear, okay? Now, this is more of an action-based live, because I'm going to leave you with some things to do. And trust me, if you do them, it's going to change your life. If you don't, you're going to stay the same. So risks aren't actually as scary as you think once you take them. Write that down, okay? So everyone told her not to do it. And Mike Ashley, Sports Direct USC, they own it. They have this crazy like bonus thing for managers, okay? And it's kind of a never-ending dangling carrot that keeps you there. So 5 years, you'll get X amount. Then 10 years, you'll get X amount. So it's building people into staying into something they hate via fear. And that's what you're all doing. Many of you, okay? How many of you have said something along the lines of, I can't throw all this away now? Or, I've been in this relationship for 8 years. I can't just give up on it. Well, it's making you unhappy every day. So what the actual F are you giving up on? You don't want to give up on unhappiness because you've been unhappy for a long time. You don't want to give up on a job that's making you really unhappy because you've been there a long time and you've got some fictitious bonus scheme that might or might not come in 5 years. You know, that's what you don't know, isn't it? Your company will say, oh yeah, this is what company said to me. We're going to give you share options. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. Promise you the world. You don't even know if that company is going to be there in 2 years, let alone whether they're going to actually pay you it. So yeah, you know, it's crazy, but we come out with those phrases like, that is the classic one, isn't it? You're really going to throw all that away? What, throw away that I've been in a job I hate for 5 years? Yeah, I'll throw it away, roll it into a ball and butt kick it into the middle of next week. Kirsty, I've just seen you jump on. Can you add me as a friend on Facebook so I can add you to the Mindset group today? I think I've tagged the wrong Kirsty and I've just had to take her out of the group. It's just triggered me. So yeah, we talk about, you know, throwing away. But what are we throwing away? What actually are you throwing away in the relationship or the career? You know, you're throwing away all those years of service that actually you're not even being respected for, that count for nothing. What are you really throwing away? You're throwing away passing days of your life as the living dead, because that's what I was doing in that career. Just passing time, okay? No vision, no purpose, no impact, no fulfillment, hated it, but because I'd been there for 5 years, I wanted to stay because I felt I'd built something up. I wasn't getting paid any extra each year. Wasn't getting any extra bonuses. Wasn't being given the shares that I'd been promised. Okay, I was just being used. Simple as that. Long hours, you know, being spoken to like absolute shit. Extra hours that were never paid for. But I don't want to throw all that away. Think about it. Like what you don't, that's the case. You don't want to throw away being spoken to like shit. You don't want to throw away long hours that you're not being paid for. You don't want to throw away being disrespected. You don't want to throw away having your life thrown up and down every time that company decides you want to do something. But you say, oh, I don't want to throw that away because I've been there for 5 years. So what? You've been unhappy for 5 years. Okay? So that should be a bit of a mindset shift. And let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that hits home. Because without a shadow of a doubt, that was me for years. I focused on everything that I had to lose. Well, if I leave there, they're going to take my car back. They're going to take my phone back. They're going to take my laptop back. And all of a sudden, I'm going to have to make all that money myself. But I did. Instantly, within days of leaving, because it's a survival mechanism that kicks in, okay? It's not about, am I going to make enough money as a personal trainer to pay my rent? I had to, or I would have lost my house. Simple as that. And I doubled my wage within a month. And I doubled my happiness. And I worked less hours. And everything was perfect. But the thing that we're going to come on to at the end is drilling down what exactly it is that you're afraid of. And then how to realise that risks aren't actually as scary as you are when you think you take them, when you actually take them, okay? And I'm going to leave you on a task. But before that, and again, this is an interesting one, because don't forget it took me a long time to do that, okay? This is an interesting story as well. And something where, again, I think you guys can learn from. And I'm glad I didn't take that decision. And it's life-changing for me not to. And it's now worked out even better, okay? But the second I left that job, literally the day after, I had a phone call offering me 125k a year, plus a car, plus a pension, plus a laptop, my own hours to work. It was to run another nightclub. And I turned it down. Flat blank turned it down. Okay, bear in mind I was in quite a weak position as well. My granddad had just died. It was when I'd broken my neck, and I just got divorced. So I was financially I was in a weak position, but I held that dream of wanting to be a personal trainer and wanting to have an impact on other people. Now, you work out 125k a year is a very, very good wage. It was a wage that I'd never made at that time, and at the time I was making around about 300 quid a week. dependent on cancellations, okay? But I held firm and carried through. And now I am living the dream. My dream, okay? So it's not giving up to put your current path on an indefinite pause. And I think that's what you need to change, because this is the kicker, okay? This is what we're going to leave on. If it hadn't worked out, what's the worst thing that could have happened? Clubs were queuing up to re-employ me. I'd have just had to go back to what I was doing. Is this like really making sense for people? Because it's like, when I heard this, I was like, in a book, I'm like, wow. So what are you throwing away? What are these things you keep talking about? Oh, but even worse is, your friends, your family, your colleagues, they all get on it as well, don't they? Are you really going to throw that away? You're really going to give that car back? I'd rather walk. I'd rather walk than be spoken to like that. You're really going to give all that up, what you've worked for? Well, how have I worked for it? I haven't. I've worked for someone else. They've not paid me anymore. They've not increased my life. They've not improved my life. They've just done nothing. So what really are you giving up? That's the question I want to ask you. Now, this is another one. What are you giving up? Oh, but I've been there 20 years. So you've just told me how much you detest your career, and yet you've given 20 years of your life to it, and the reason that you're not going to give it up is because you've been in pain for 20 years. Okay? Some of you will say things like, oh, I don't know how to do anything else. We'll find there is always something else. There's always something you're passionate about. There's always something that's more purposeful, something that's more impact, something that will fulfill you more. You've just not started looking hard enough, okay? Now, I'll tell you another kicker. You'll notice I said I went from 125k a year to £300 a week. One made me happy, one didn't, okay? So don't always just focus on your earnings and your income and the holidays and the cars and the laptops, because I tell you what, none of those things will make you happy. You might think they do now, but they don't. They really, really, really don't. And the sooner you get a handle on that, the better. And there's an ancient Stoic thing when I can't really remember this exactly. I read it in a book. I think it's might be in the 12-week year. I can't remember. One of them anyway. And someone tested it by basically just living on spinach in a really poor house, living off very small amounts of money, but not having the stress, not having the nastiness, not having the thing that you dread to go to every week. And they were internally happier, because what they realised was that even if they left the job and went from £5,000 a week to 500 quid a week, they were actually happier, and losing the things that they lost on the £5,000 a week weren't actually making them happy anyway. And this is what some people are doing. It's a bad example at the moment because of the current global situation, but you know, some of you are working 48 weeks of a year doing something you detest for 4 show-off weeks in a foreign country, when you basically just get shit-faced for 2 weeks to suppress the fact and sedate the fact that you hate your career that much, that you couldn't wait to go on holiday. Like, I don't believe you should ever be saying things like, I just can't wait to get away, because that means you're escaping. Let's work on fixing and creating the life that we don't need to escape from. So that, yeah, I love holidays, of course I do. Like, Ibiza's my favourite place in the whole world. But I don't want to go to Ibiza to escape from my life, because I've created a life that I love. And that's where I believe all of our focuses should be, because it's where you spend all of your time. Think about the craziness of it. I work non-stop, 18 hours a day, for 48 weeks out of another year of my life doing something I hate to go and get pissed for 4 weeks and show photos of how Billy Big Balls my holiday is. Or I do it in order to drive a really smart car so that everybody knows how well I'm doing. Or live in a house that's maybe a bit more expensive than I need to. Or maybe send my kids to a school that they don't need to go to. Or wear shoes that I don't need to spend money on. But you do all these, the thing that you're doing to earn the things is again just a cover up. Cars, houses, holidays, fancy clothes. Unless you're absolutely loaded already, 99 times out of 100 they're a cover up because you are not happy, okay? But they make you feel better. They make you feel better temporarily. So you do something you hate for 95% of your life to buy things to temporarily cover up and make you feel happier about things you're unhappy about. It's mental when you think about it, okay? So the reason is, let's pull some more notes up. So action might not always bring happiness, okay? That could have, any of those situations could have gone wrong, okay? Maybe I would not have been able to get enough clients and I would have been forced to go back to clubs. I still run club nights, but full time. You know, I would have been forced to go back to full time, which again would have led me into a cycle of drugs and alcohol and parties, which was currently destroying my life. But that was what my life was anyway. So the worst case scenario, if it all went wrong, would have been that I'd have just gone back to what I was doing anyway. Crazy when you think about it. Now, action won't always bring you happiness, but without some action, there will never be any happiness. Write that down. I think one of the Prime Ministers said that. Action may not always bring you happiness, but without action, there will never be unhappiness. So if you're unhappy already and you do nothing, you are going to be unhappy forever. I'm like, the more I develop these lives now, I think I will literally want to start a business that helps people change careers, because I think it's coming out in all the learning that I'm doing. If you knew, say hello, morning Lindsay, morning Bri, morning Deb, it's more and more coming out to me that it's the single most reason why people are unhappy, and yet it will always be the thing where you spend the majority of your life. So how can you ever be happy if you're unhappy doing the thing that you spend the majority of your life doing? It's crazy, isn't it? But the problem is, it's uncertainty and the fear of failure that holds you back. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that most people will choose unhappiness over uncertainty. So you will keep doing the thing that makes you unhappy because it's certain. You will stay in the toxic relationship because it's certain. You will stay in the toxic career because it's certain, okay? You will stay with your group of friends and the toxic behaviour because it's certain. Now, what is going to take you away from that is uncertain. But the question that we're going to come back to again is, if you step into uncertainty and grab life by the balls/ovaries and just, I need to swear, fucking go for it, what is the worst thing that could happen? Write that down, okay? Because for years I set goals and did nothing. I was the dreamer. I wanted the Baywatch body, but I didn't go to the gym, okay? I wanted to be a DJ, but I didn't practice mixing long enough because I wanted the shortcut. I wanted to be a producer, but I didn't actually spend any time doing it, okay? Because I spent all my time working. Because what was work? It was safe and it was certain, okay? So making great money is not worth, okay, being miserable for, not having any time, working yourself to death for the, that was me. Anyone who's been a club manager will understand. People think it's the VIP lifestyle. It's not. And very often making money will make you miserable, okay? So, we're going to end here, and we're not going to have any time training for training talk today. So we'll go on to training progression tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. How do you escape your self-made prison? Again, hands up if you feel like you're living in a self-made prison. Because I lived in a self-made prison for at least 15 years of my life. Everything that was in it, I created, I chose, okay? So how do I escape the self-made prison? Well, this is how I did it, okay? I wrote down, if I leave working at X to follow my dreams of being a Y, what is the worst possible thing that could happen? Okay? Write that down, and tomorrow on the live, I want you guys to get involved, and I want you to tell me, okay? Obviously, I understand that some of you may not be able to, if it's related to a relationship, or if it's related to a career, and your boss might be watching, okay? But some of you will have your Facebooks locked down. You could also feel free to message me, and I will create a fake name for you, like Rupert or Gertrude, and I will discuss it on tomorrow's live. But this is the single most thing I want you to take away. And then I'm going to drop the webinar link in, and you can join, and you can have an hour's free coaching on Sunday night at 8 p.m. once the kids are in bed. Okay? To conquer fear, you must first define it. To conquer fear, you must first define it. To conquer fear, you must first define it. What is it that you're afraid of? And what is the worst possible thing that could happen if you start to take action from tomorrow? Take care, guys. Have an awesome day. I love you all.